Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fastbreak Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I kind of wanted to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. I looked at this team after I made the ranking all 30 NBA teams video, and looking at their roster, man, their projected starting five and just their bench unit, this is a team to me that has one foot in the grave and the other on a fucking banana peel. It's not like confidence inspiring at all. They have PJ Tucker, who is making, I think, $13 million just to not even fucking play. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I know he picked up his player option, if I'm correct, but this is a team that I don't have any confidence in. Losing Paul George was a huge deal for them. PJ Tucker, yeah, he's a player option. What's his player option worth? Yeah, 11.5. So this guy's getting paid $11.5 million. Probably not going to play for the Clippers at all. Like, he's getting paid to be a fucking lawn ornament, essentially, on this team because he didn't play really at all last season. But I look at this team, and their projected starting five is James Harden, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, and Ivica Zubac, okay? Just speaking of that starting five, right? Does that sound like a crazy playoff roster to you? James Harden, Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, and Ivica Zubac. Their bench is Chris Dunn, Norman Powell, Amir Coffey, Nicholas Batum, and Mo Bamba. Third string is Kevin Porter Jr. Well, they got Kevin Porter Jr. at shooting guard and point guard, but Norman Powell, Amir Coffey, and PJ Tucker. They have Cam Christie on this roster also. Bones Highland is like their fourth option at point guard. I have a feeling midway through the season, Kevin Porter Jr. will take over point guard duties for that second unit. I just think Kevin Porter Jr. is that good at basketball. He's a guy that I have a feeling will very, very quickly become the sixth man on this team, if not for Norman Powell. Norman Powell is very good. But the Clippers are at a point now, man, where I really feel like they should just trade Kawhi Leonard. Like, I'm at a point where I understand they paid him, but this is a team where Kawhi Leonard is literally the difference between this team being a playoff team and a fucking lottery team, if I'm being honest with you. James Harden's good, but is James Harden good enough to backpack this team to the playoffs by himself? You know, we're talking 2024 James Harden, okay? We're not talking 2018, 2019, 2017 James Harden. You know what I'm saying? We're talking 2024 James Harden, where teams struggle to even consider the idea of paying him $100 million. This is a guy who changes teams like every other fucking year because he can't decide where he wants to be. Granted, James Harden might flourish in a role like that, where Kawhi Leonard goes out and he gets to, you know, let James Harden cook, you know what I'm saying, like if that's their offensive strategy. But the thing is, like, Derrick Jones Jr. is a solid player, Terrence Mann's a good player, Ivica Zubac is a bona fide 10-10 guy, Harden is good at passing. Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. But I'm at a point now where I feel like after losing Paul George, this team really, really should consider just trading fucking everybody. And the reason I say that is because Kawhi Leonard's value is only going to go down. Kawhi Leonard's value is, yes, he's still a really good player, but he's a guy that it seems like he doesn't play a whole lot in the regular season. He doesn't play back-to-backs. Kawhi Leonard's a guy that if you're trading for him, you essentially have to hope that he makes it to the playoffs healthy. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that you have to kind of baby in the regular season and hope that he's good enough and will be healthy enough by the time the season's over to actually make a playoff run. And even against their first round against Dallas, he sat out. He only played 2 of those games. You know what I'm saying? Dallas did beat the Los Angeles Clippers in the playoffs this past year, but Kawhi Leonard only played 2 of those games. And Kawhi Leonard's the best player on the Clippers. So it's just, I look at this roster and I'm like, what are the Clippers doing? I understand they're going into a new building and, you know, they really don't want to enter that new building with a lottery team. But I look at this roster and I'm like, bro, like this team is one Kawhi Leonard injury away from, being a lottery team. And they don't even own most of their draft picks. Like, I don't even think they have a first round pick until like 2029 or 2030. Don't quote me on that, but I do know, like, this is a team that does not own a lot of draft picks. I mean, if we look at their draft capital, their next first round pick isn't until 2030. So even if they tank, right, it's not like they're getting anything significant. Their draft picks are all in 2030. Their 2030 first round pick, they have a 2030 second round pick, a 2031 first round, and a 2031 second rounder. This team literally does not have a fucking draft pick for the next 6 years. If I were the Clippers, what I would do is try to get as many draft picks as humanly possible for Kawhi Leonard from somebody. I don't know who somebody is, but James Harden's a guy that I don't think you can trade. I think James Harden is a guy that you're just stuck with. If you could maybe get a young player and a first-round pick or 2 first-round picks for Kawhi, I think now's the time to do that, especially when you consider, like, I don't know how old Kawhi Leonard is, but he's not young. He's 33. You know what I'm saying? You're getting maybe 2 or 3 good more years out of Kawhi Leonard, maybe, and that's what you're left with. And even then, 2 or 3 years from now is still 2026, 2027. You're still talking another 3 or 4 years without a draft pick. Or Norman Powell. Even Norman Powell's a guy that I think you could move for a first round pick. But the thing is, I worry that the LA Clippers are going to hold on to Kawhi Leonard longer than they should. Like, as soon as they found out Paul George wasn't coming back, the immediate thought should have been, okay, we need to flip Kawhi Leonard for something. I understand you got James Harden. You brought James Harden back. But the thing is, like, this is a team that if you want to be competitive at all in the future at any point, you don't have a draft pick for 6 years, okay? You need to find some way to turn Kawhi Leonard into draft picks, draft capital, or a promising young player plus picks. And there's not a lot of teams in the NBA that can really provide that. Not a lot of meaningful teams anyway. Kawhi Leonard's not a guy that's going to get traded to the fucking Utah Jazz. You know what I'm saying? He's not a guy that's going to get traded to the Brooklyn Nets. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all the teams with draft capital are simply not going to trade for Kawhi Leonard at 33. It would be cool if the Nets would, trade for Kawhi Leonard and give the Clippers a couple draft picks, but even like the only team that I could see making any sense trading for Kawhi Leonard is the OKC Thunder. They are the only team that I look at where I'm like, Sam Presti got a whole lot of fucking draft picks, bro, and they're one piece away. And they added Alex Caruso, and they added Isaiah Hartenstein. If I'm OKC, I'm like, listen, bro, okay? If I'm LA Clippers front office, I'm calling Sam Presti. I'm like, listen, bro, I'll send you Kawhi Leonard, but I need draft capital. And the crazy part is the Clippers are so desperate for draft picks that there's a chance that the fucking, I don't think they're gonna get, if OKC tried to trade for Kawhi Leonard, which I think at this point makes a whole lot of sense because they're good enough to get to the playoffs without Kawhi. They're a legitimate top 3 seed in the West. The Clippers' future is kind of dog shit, if we're being honest. If I'm OKC, I'm like, I'll give you 1 or 2 draft picks. You don't even have to go crazy to get Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of other teams out there with the type of draft capital that OKC has that could trade for Kawhi. The Knicks aren't going to do it. They got Mikal Bridges and they have OG Anunoby, right? There's not a lot of teams out there with just a whole bunch of draft capital. And honestly, if I'm the Clippers, after that Paul George trade, it's like, hey, I'll send you Kawhi. Can I get some of my draft capital back? You know what I'm saying? I'll give you Kawhi. I want some of those picks back from the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. You know what I'm saying? You have SGA. You can keep them. I'll give you Kawhi, but please just give me back some of my draft capital. You know what I'm saying? Because the Clippers are screwed, man. No matter what way they go here, it's like the odds of Kawhi Leonard playing a full season for the Clippers and playing I'm just going to call it. The odds of Kawhi Leonard playing a 65-game season or a 60-game season for the Clippers is incredibly low. I'd be willing to bet like 10 grand that he doesn't type of availability for Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. But if you could send Kawhi Leonard to OKC, maybe get 2 of those first round picks, and maybe, I don't know, who's a guy that stands out. They're probably not going to give him up, but maybe Lou Dort. I don't know. Like, just get somebody. It's not going to be Jalen Williams. They're not going to give you Jalen Williams. They're not going to give you SGA. They're not going to give you Chet Holmgren. Okay, but maybe you can get something out of that, like a Lou Dort plus, a couple first-round picks, maybe 2 first-round picks and a really high second or something like that. If you can get that for Kawhi Leonard, I consider that to be a step in the right direction. And then at that point, I think you got to look at Norman Powell and say, okay, let's try to trade Norman Powell. Maybe even try to trade James Harden to Miami. I know James Harden wanted to go to Miami as like a potential destination. But I really think the Clippers really need to look at their roster and say, we need to start planning for the future, because Kawhi Leonard is not your future, okay? Not at 33 years old. He's just not. He's a great player, fantastic player, but he's a guy that at this point, you're relying on him to make you a playoff team. And, for a long time, for the past 5 years, they've been beneficial enough to have Paul George when Kawhi Leonard isn't able to play, and a lot of times that has saved them from being, a lottery team and being a playoff team, and they don't even have that anymore. Now it's like you're relying on James Harden, where if James Harden gets disgruntled for whatever reason, he's going to give up on you. So, and we've seen him do it twice now. So it's just the idea, like I said, the Clippers have one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel, and unfortunately, that banana peel is Kawhi Leonard. You know what I'm saying? And I just have a feeling they're going to slip and they're going to fall into the 6-foot hole. And if that's the case, and if you know that's the case, and I would say, if history is any indication, the Clippers really, really should be considering trading Kawhi Leonard to like the Oklahoma City Thunder. And try to recoup some of that draft capital that they gave OKC for Paul George. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? The OKC Thunder are in a position where maybe they would even be generous. Maybe they would even be generous to the Clippers. It's like, we're a top 3 seed in the West. We're one piece away. If we get Kawhi, that puts us in the championship conversation. Kawhi doesn't even really need to play a whole hell of a lot. We kind of got our shit on lock. You know what I'm saying? We got SGA, we got Caruso, we got Isaiah Hartenstein, we got Chet, we got Jalen Williams. We still have, I don't know if Lou Dort would be considered in a trade. They would. I don't know how the money's going to work with that. They would have to find a way to make the money work for Kawhi. But OKC seems like the best trade partner for the Clippers. And I know it's a little weird, being that, they traded SGA for their entire future for Paul George, but it's just the idea they kind of need some of that back now, and now OKC's in a position where they would maybe do a trade like that. Maybe OKC's in a position now where they're like, we have enough first round draft picks to draft a fucking football team. Really what we need is a good wing. Give us Kawhi, and we'll recompensate you some of that draft capital, plus some salary filler here to get players, because there's gonna have to be multiple players included in this. I don't really know what the OKC Thunder roster looks like salary cap wise. I mean, OKC. Let's go to the Clippers. So, let's say we could send Kawhi Leonard to the Thunder. I mean, $49 million is a whole lot of bread. Maybe you give up. Lou Dort would have to be included. $16 million a year. Maybe you include Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, and unfortunately that kind of looks like it. I mean, they don't even. Fucking Thunder don't even have a lot of cap space. They would have to trade like Isaiah Hartenstein, and they just signed him. Does this even work? Yeah, there's not enough salary cap there to even make it work. But it's just the idea, if they could find some way to include OKC in a trade for Kawhi Leonard, they would be the ideal trade partner, because the OKC Thunder are one piece away, and It's a solidified wing. If they could somehow, like Lou Dort would have to be included in this trade. Yeah, $16.5 million a year. Yeah, like you would have to include Lou Dort. And maybe even Isaiah Hartenstein. But it's just the idea, like, and they just signed Isaiah Hartenstein. But it's just the idea this team, the Clippers need to find some way out. That's all I'm saying. Like, they need to find some way out, a light at the end of the tunnel, because they've got 2 to 3 years here before Kawhi Leonard's value is going to, like, the older Kawhi Leonard gets, his value just drops. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the reason I'm making this video, is because it, like you risk the idea, or you risk the possibility of Kawhi Leonard having another very, very serious injury. And if you're LA, it's kind of like, do I want to sell while his value's high? You know, he just had a pretty decent season. You know, I don't know how many games Kawhi just played, but I do know, I think he played a little more than usual. Don't quote me on it, but he played 68 games this past season, dog. Like, if based on the past 1, 2, 3, 4 years, like, that's the most games he has played since 2016, 2017, bro. Like if I'm the Clippers, I'm selling high right fucking now. You know what I'm saying? Now is the time to trade Kawhi Leonard if you're ever going to do it. He played 68 games this past season and started for 68 of them while shooting 50% from the field, 41% from three, and 88% from the free throw line on 23 points a game. Okay? Now is the time to sell high on Kawhi Leonard. And I can't believe he played 68 games. That's fucking wild. Like, bro, he's 32. He played 68 games. If you're the Clippers, now's the time to sell high. Get some of your draft capital back. I didn't realize he played 68 fucking games. That's wild. The idea of him that happening again, I just feel like is very, very slim. I have a feeling that's very, very slim. 68? Yeah. If you're the Clippers, yeah, you got to consider selling, bro. Like, the stock is at the all-time high right now, bro. Like, now's the fucking time. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.